In Africa, we're very concerned about our rock art archives, in the sense that these archives they maintain the rock art heritage. As the rock art is fading throughout Africa, 250,000 sites or more are being damaged in many places very quickly. And the rock art archive is there to preserve this heritage by record. And what we realized is that in our archives, this heritage is in fact deteriorating even faster than it is outside at the actual sites. The slides are going pink, the paper copies are being eaten by fish moth in many museums. Archives are not being properly maintained in a number of African countries, particularly in war zones. Archives can be destroyed. And so the key challenge for us within Africa has been to collect all of these archives and to digitize them and to preserve these records for humanity in digital form, where they can be protected much more easily than the actual physical archives themselves. So over 30 institutions and individuals from across sub-Saharan Africa have come together to preserve their archive in a common digital form. It's called the Sarada project, and this captures over 200,000 images at present, and we're adding 30,000 images per year. So it's the largest rock art archive in the world, and its aim is to preserve the rock art heritage of Africa in digital form. There are many benefits to establishing a rock art archive. First of all, simply to collect all of the photographs for the last 100 years at many African sites. What we've been able to do is chart, in fact, conservation concerns at these sites. We've been able to see decay over the last 100 years. And that allows us, in fact, to intervene, because it gives us a baseline of what is changing. And that allows us to ask the question of then why is it changing? So in places like Malawi, we can see that just simple things like fire prevention in rock shelters is one of the drastic ways of intervening to stop the radical decay in a World Heritage Site like Chonkoni. If you haven't got that data, if you haven't got those records, you don't know what are the major interventions that you need to take at sites in order to prevent future decay. One needs to know that fire, for example, and graffiti are the major problems in a particular World Heritage Site. And then you know to focus your intervention activities on those. Because we have limited funds, we have to focus on the most severe threats. And the archival records for the last 100 years allow us to do that. It's only multiple institutions working together that can produce this archive, because most state authorities only have records for the last 10, 15 years. Whereas individual researchers often have collections that go back 100 years. So the key thing has been to collect from across the world, in fact, archives relating to Africa, and to consolidate them in a single database that anyone within Africa can use. That's been the key contribution, and where I would encourage anyone around the world who has collections of images of African rock art to come and participate in this project. We need support. We're very excited by the UNESCO moves to get involved in international archiving of rock art, because in Africa, we've started our own projects. We would very much like to collaborate with partners in other parts of the world, learn about their experiences, and see how best to use this archive to promote things like World Heritage, to be able to use it as a comparative archive for looking at issues of comparative analysis on the World Heritage List. The archive that we've created can become hugely useful. Africa is well represented on the World Heritage List in terms of rock art, but we expect that there will be further nominations, and this archive will be very, very useful in doing comparative analysis, for example, within those nominations.